just watched a video on YouTube. Actually, let's see what it was. Miltes Sachgenale. Interesting. So what is this saga? A legend? It's not really a legend. It's a German word. When we work like this. Saga is basically something like a fated legend that is not to be destiny. Just like prophecy, there's no exact science. Fairy tales that are not tales are just also not an exact story, not even a line, no any card to play with it. Now, it was about the Knights of Wisdom by Silence, and that is rather an interesting topic because he mentioned the other world, the world of the other, the priest world, where everything will hunt you. You take one stone, and everything you ever would become in that moment is on your side or not. It's really up to relevance, because the price is set. I'm not going to with you. Now, why do you make this video as a response? Well, it's fairly interesting, because that one maybe with a slight lighter voice would be than a female voice, how people could call it, but my woman can I can have a light voice. Can also by this always imagine that we are maybe not that. Don't imagine us. So no, not a woman ever. Sorry for the insult then. Now, what will this video be about? No, not much talk, but let's open up a memo. Let's open up a memo. And write some things down. To explain it. Basically. So basically, the idea that winter solstice, right? The winter solstice. Question mark? No. What is that? Well, it's not midsummer. And it's not magic, but circulating on it. Wrong. But circulating by magic, but not of someone. So when he said that they're Freya and Odin, wrong. Don't cheat on each other, and don't come here neither. Or anywhere. They are in Never Never Land. Hopefully, forever, ever, ever. And never nimmer. Hopefully. Now, the problem is that Odin and Freya do really, for you, maybe not exist. For some people do. But what is this about? Am I my own pantheon? I said I'm a god, right? The water is something? I don't know. So am I in my own pantheon? Huh. Yes, we are. We are our own pantheon. What is a pantheon? Wow, it's not a Corinthian. Yes, it is. You're fated to someone if you're married to someone, right? Logic. If you meet the person, the right person, it's perfect, okay? If it wouldn't work, it wouldn't work. But what is love? Oh, it's already difficult. It's hard to find at the moment. What is a pantheon, and what is a legend to be untold? Well, a saga. No exact story. Just like prophecy. But therefore that means, just like prophecy, eine Sage is not something that needs to be. Meaning, it can be, but doesn't need to lie in some idea of anything, actually. Meaning, the exact story is not written, but anything of it is not of few, just like that. It's not feel nice. It will not embody you with some knowledge or will calculate you to a legend. Always only circle around what is then magic. So the beginning of wisdom in magic is then this idea. So what is wisdom in magic? Well, it forms something. Everything of your spirit forms an idea. It gets to manifest something that will then conjure up something else. Of course, that can be used and is already known, but not really. The beings of these ideas are not them. They are also real, but they cannot be harmed, most likely. And then that is of relevance because this idea is not of sage, it's a legend. Meaning the legend of magic is the whole essence to any of fate ever. So that's basically the Rauhnacht. You just think about magic and what it did to your life or with your life. Now, the question is rather, how does Midsummer fit in there? Well, it's to Walpurgisnacht. Midsummer is not in there. It doesn't matter. But circulating by magic is not to or by someone. Because the circulated magic is not of someone. Magic is in this case not of the person. I mean, it's really irrelevant. And summer solstice is not the age of Odin or Freya. Not the age of you either. It's no age whatsoever. But that said, what is Abgrund? And what is waiting behind the veil that you need to live? How people metaphorically say often all the time, all ideas of circulated idea to any is a forth-cold ideas to be. Well, that would be rather interesting, right? The veil could be lifted by a person. It cannot be. A person just can tell you knowledge, then the veil is lifted. But a person will never give you an idea to any further idea of magic that will lift the veil by pure accordance. Listening to someone is a good idea for that, though. But interacting and observing someone, so much. No. What is waiting behind the veil? Well, just like the other world, the Anderswelt, there's waiting a price that is set already by magic. Magic has its own price. It's set by what you endow with it. You carry it around till it's worked off. Or you really set a price that's darker. Well, for that, and well, magic doesn't have a price then. That's a good thing about it. It's highly beneficial. Unless you want to use the magic of someone. That's not allowed, of course. Or us. for anyone. So the question is, what is the veil that is not the veil to be lifted, but the veil that's governing it? Meaning, what is the governor of all veils? The Abgrund, not the abyss. Meaning the darkest place where everything falls to the abyss. Yeah, that's a rather interesting one. Because that veil, as lifted, is then the destiny unsealed again. Meaning, if you lift the veil, usually in theater, something happens. With this idea, a lot of things. Meaning, at the end of everything, there awaits something that falls down to the abyss, but only metaphorically speaking. The veil on that is not to be lifted, but is on the idea of magic is not the same as the same of circulated by value by sour dreams. Thus, the darkest part of the universe, meaning all of existence, and that is encompassing everything that is circulating of magic and is hiding why things are the way they are. It's not real. But just like the other world, there is a fundament to this idea. And that fundament could be called darkest light. The darkest light in the moon shall rise, but might not something. Meaning, every time something is taken of something unsuccessful, but not of a person or a being, it's taken from something of a plane or any of these ideas, that is then stored there. And what would this be? How can you observe this even in this world? Maybe not, but how can you observe it usually in existence? That would be rather a difficult question. Usually in existence, maybe even here, I never viewed it, I never took care to understand it. Something happens, literally. Like literally happens. So it's not Friday the happening, not 13 the gathering, but the happened gather. It's just then gathering something of that idea, but not places, not people, not fireflies. But there's gathering then something of that plane around that idea. It's like all that accumulation of the plane forms something like in Prime. This is evil series. No, the dinosaur series. In that series, this Prime dinosaur series, that's what's happening then. Like, not literally, there's no darkness then, but all the gatherings, all that is then happening to this sort of where the reality has split itself by the time. And how would that be observable in the universe? Well, light is not the question there. Shadows neither. It's that by the fluctuation of light, suddenly the room diverts, and the space is then not cracked open, but crushed down. So what would be the reaction be, and why would that physically be possible? Well, if you understand what a Feynman equation is, you understand that the mechanic of thermodynamics makes a quantum level be stable in a matter plane, meaning matter is stabilized by a quantum mechanic. If we're now talking about quantum field theory, that is something that is very much different. Quantum is a wave. It's not just a function. I firmly believe that. We firmly believe that, just like time is personal. It's not just, it's just a good metaphor. It's actually like this. It feels like something completely different in quantum idea. They're also real. Now, but that is the point. A quantum field doesn't interact with that. A quantum function doesn't either. The stable reality that is brought into a experience, or something like it, or being, no, to observable idea, is then of the sort that it doesn't fluctuate to the mechanics of the thermodynamical equations. Thus, for example, the Feynman equation, which says E times minus 23 or something like it, times, so E times square root of x plus y square 2, for example, just calculate it. And why would that be a Feynman equation? Well, because Feynman has, I believe, the famous equation, wait, wait a second, E plus brackets C plus Y equals something that could be then always something, which is then, for example, square of something, in this case derivated to something, meaning the square, and usually the variable of AC, and AC would be then the constant variable to change to this equation by conjuring up e to the square. That's the Feynman equation, right? And in thermal idea, thermodynamics doesn't have this, but an interaction of thermodynamics with a Feynman equation, something happens. And there's then the idea. If you take something off the fundamental ideas of the universe, meaning all of existence, the whole is crashing down to make that plane be in a quantum state. And that's what they're happening, meaning a quantum appearance. Now, crypto coin. Interesting. So, by the way, do you ever get paranoid when people on pornography change their face? Well, it looks like they've changed their face. Maybe I'm just too much on acid. So this is the one I meant. Not really. It's not the one I meant. As I said, they're more difficult than what I explained, but not really if you view one special one. Let me... because it's always nice, right? You can always say this Feynman equation and understand them. No. That's not what I mean. This is not the Feynman equation. It's something completely different. It's not the one I mean. This is more likely. This is the one I meant. From this is derivative something like this. It's a sum. And then somewhere here, this is the one I meant. Ex sum of, well, omega meaning pi by something, x dp. And that sum can be formulated in epsilon equals square of pq formula. And that can be equaled to E as Euler number. Because what is that E? Well, the E is there the sum of irrational numbers. So you then can formulate it in Euler number plus C plus result of this here, meaning the sum, or whatever that's supposed to be, to then equal the A. times c. And a is then what is deriving this to the irrational numbers. And at that place then a thermal equation collapses the space, which is obvious because m equals now e equals m squared times 2 is then the reason for that. Obvious. If the first equation holds true that I just put out, we put out in this video, then if the thermodynamical formula of m, meaning velocity or just anything, equals x plus a squared 2, meaning a linear equation to some degree, then well, m in equal means meaning not minus, sorry, meaning the result, or m being displayed as epsilon, as a mx, which is of course also possible, is then formulating something that is of a rational number to the outcome of understanding what is velocity. And velocity to e equals m square, meaning cm square, mc square, sorry, is not the same variable, of course, but taking that into account, that is a linear idea of space, time, and so forth. You understand then that with the equation previously mentioned, with the Euler number, you get that that equation would be derived by a thermically linear idea to some point where the Euler number is cutting the zero while it cuts somewhere else on that formula. Why would that be the case? Because an Euler number is the same as an Euler number minus 1 minus Euler number. Euler means e equals minus e times something sometimes. And that is then well explainable to be the result of this, meaning Euler equals Euler equals a times brackets in square root of c times y, meaning epsilon, times square, is then the linear form of it, meaning the same as Euler times something plus a in brackets of the root plus epsilon equals, well, AC. That's the same idea. And that's how then time crashes down and makes a literally happening of time and space collapsing. And why is that the case if E equals m square? MC square? Funny, funny. Well, that's logic. Because that then, if all variables true, by epsilon equals max plus n, the thermodynamical linear formula of it is then the crushing down of the factor a. And the factor a in this equation would be the one as before, previously mentioned, because that would make this here become the Euler number, because that's all irrational numbers, and these are the sums of what x is going to be in that root idea. For that then, a in the factor of the thermodynamical value in the linear form to that idea would by E equals mc square be in that same formula, meaning that that formula is crushing down the Euler number to the second derivation we just mentioned in this video. If you don't hear